I'm done. What an introduction, ladies and gentlemen. Just run on in here.
Just run in.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for having me, guys. I know I've already met a bunch of you at the table, so thank you for stopping by. And what do you want to chat about today?
Degrassi. We were talking about Degrassi before you were even here.
Oh, that show.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, I did a couple of years on that. It's been good. Yeah, just a couple. You know what? This whole experience of appearing at conventions and meeting fans across the country has been absolutely surreal. From just being a fan of pop culture and comic books myself, that's what kind of got me into going to these events, was just to see if I could get the latest comic or a comic that I've been looking for to fill in my run. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm actually enjoying the experience of meeting with the fans and telling stories, because it's been over 20 years at that point. And they would just literally come up to me and say, I feel like I'm at my high school reunion talking to you right now. You were my friend growing up. What's Snake up to? What's Spike up to? What's Caitlin up to? Like, I need to know these things. And basically, I said, you know what? Those are very good questions. Maybe I should find out if they want to participate and be part of the little reunion gathering. And so I came up with the name Degrassi Tour, because I didn't know what else to call it. But the funny thing is people actually thought we were getting on a bus and like just traveling across the country like it was a Grateful Dead tour, and people, oh come on, can't you just swing by Calgary and Winnipeg? And I was like, no, it's not that kind of tour where we're actually all hanging out for a month and just going from coast to coast like a band or a comedian. This is literally wherever we can get invited to, we'll pop by, and depending on who they would like to have will determine how many cats get to go. And one thing led to another, and basically this was all of last year was a celebration of School's Out, the movie, which was the 25th anniversary. And a lot of people remembered it fondly, and we aired it actually, we played it in many, many theaters across the country. We have Q&As and discussions, but it was wonderful watching people watch that movie for the first time in 25 years, because a lot of people forgot about all the craziness.
It was harsh. Do you guys remember that movie?
Yeah, the shenanigans that took place in that movie. I think it's probably the worst TV show finale ever in the history of television.
They were graduating finally from Degrassi High, and it's a movie, like it was, what, 2 hours?
Yeah, spoiler alert, we don't want to tell you if you haven't seen the movie. But I tell people, if you never watched School's Out, like, were you living under a rock? Because it literally blew people's minds. It was the first time on Canadian television, especially on a children's show, but I think on any Canadian production, where the F-bomb was used multiple times. Caitlin and Snake. And Snake will say, well, I was the actual first person to say it, and then Caitlin said it next. And they constantly bicker about that.
And it was because of what you did.
It was because my character was a bad boy, without giving it away. But obviously, they knew what they were doing. That all took place after 9 o'clock. So the timeline of the show started at 8. After 9 o'clock, you could have vulgarity in a TV series or in a movie. So, vulgarity, was that the right word? Obscenities? The F-bomb. And then as soon as like 9 o'clock hit, about 10 minutes in, that's when the F-bomb dropped. But the thing was, a lot of parents watched the show with their kids. So a lot of these moms and dads were watching the show and not, expecting that, oh, you're a narbo, or whatever kind of slang that we used back in the day. And just to have the F-bomb dropped, I think there was a lot of conversations that night, and a lot of embarrassed kids.
I think so.
I think
it's like watching Basic Instinct.
Well, yeah, and, the mortified moms and dads out there at that time is hilarious. I think there's just across the country, the whole country just inhaled, to hear the F-bomb.
From Caitlin.
From Caitlin of all people. That's
what made it so awesome.
Yeah. So I think because we left on such a crazy note, and we left an impression on a lot of fans, like, we left them wanting more. They wanted more answers, they wanted more explanations of what happened to these characters, and we just kind of disappeared.
Yes.
And for over 10 years, you didn't hear a peep from us. We all kind of went our own ways. We went to school or started different careers or started families. And then in 2000, I think it was 2001, Jonathan Torrens had that show Jonovision in Canada, for those of you who know. And he had our cast appear there for the first time in 10 years. Talking about the show and the relevance, and we basically had a live audience of about 250 people and an overflow room with another 100 people that couldn't come into the studio, and they were all telling us stories, how the show affected them, what it meant to them, why they're so loyal to the franchise. And from that one experience, that one interview, which was a two-parter episode, the producers realized that there was a new audience out there. There were still people that wanted to hear about our characters, the storylines, that there was a time, it was time to come back.
Okay.
And that's basically what started it. But I think they realized that it was also Emma, who was Spike's baby on the show, right?
Wasn't that the most brilliant
It was
way to bring the show back?
Brilliant crossover,
Yeah.
because Emma was now at the age of a grade
Junior
nine,
high, yeah.
junior high or grade 9 student. So she was now 13, 14. And so they used her as the catalyst to start Next Generation. But I remember my first meeting with the producers, we sat down at their studio, and I was in their office, and the husband-wife team of Linda and Steven were talking to me, and it was just the three of us, and they said, well, we're going to bring back a show, we're going to call it Degrassi, The Next Generation, and all I could think was, that what a stupid title for a show. Like, what is this, Star Trek? Like, that's all I could think about. I go, guys, it's a great idea, but that's the worst title for a show ever. Why would you do that? And they tried to explain it to me that it was the next generation of cast, the next generation of an audience, and that's what they really wanted it to be. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. If the show lasts a year or two, good on you.
Yeah.
Not thinking that they would go 17 years after that conversation.
Did you have any say on your character coming back?
No, I really didn't, and I wish I did. I wish I had more say, because the writers were a completely different team of writers. They were young, fresh out of university writers who basically, many didn't even grow up watching Degrassi.
Yeah.
So they had their own interpretation of the classic characters, and I think many of the audience that tuned in to watch The Next Generation were hoping for a different show and a different story arc for the classic character. There's Caitlin right there.
Take it out.
Speakerphone?
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm just doing a panel right now in Kitchener.
Oh my god.
Can you swear for us?
Can you
Say it.
Yeah.
Pat, you bastard! Freaking out. Crazy.
So the reason why Stacy's calling me right now is because I saw a bunch of Lego pieces on the floor out there that people were selling, the little mini Legos. Stacy's obsessed about these little Legos.
Oh.
She collects them for her kids. So I sent her photographs of the Legos, and I was going to ask you, Stacy, are there any there that you want? Did you zoom in? Did you see any of the characters?
Oh, I didn't see the photo yet. The only thing my 6-year-old has told me now that all he's interested in are the dinosaurs, the Lego dinosaurs.
The Lego dinosaurs. See how my life has become? I'm literally finding dinosaur Lego pieces for my co-stars from the 80s. This is what we do when we go to Comic-Cons now. We literally look for Lego for Stacy's kids, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey Stacy, are you did you get sick from last week's Windsor show?
No more than I was already.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we often get sick from show to show, and one passes it to the other. And
Yeah.
Stacy and I drove to Windsor, and I could have sworn that she gave me her cold when I got home. But I'm okay now, Stacy. No worries.
It was my fault.
Yeah.
I just blame it on me.
Totally. Yeah, I'm not going to keep you, Stacy. We're just chit-chatting here, and if you want, when I get back out there, I'll look for those dinosaur pieces for you, okay?
Okay, don't look at the photo that you sent. Okay, you rock.
No problem, Stacy. I'm always thinking about you.
Bye, Stacy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, baby. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
There's a bonus.
Yeah, I mean that's my life now. We talk about freaking Lego pieces, and but Stacy's been wonderful. It's been really great hanging with her after. I mean, I hadn't seen her since 2005.
Okay.
And then we got back together to do the tour last year. And none of my cast members had ever been to a comic convention before. Snake, Caitlin, Tessa Campanelli. I'm calling them by their character names. This is the chick from Corner Gas keeps texting me. What the hell? They all didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, guys, it's really simple. It's a lot of fun. It's basically just fan love. You're going to love it. It's been a long time since we've really made ourselves accessible to people in regards to the show. And really, I wouldn't make you guys do anything that I didn't think you were going to enjoy. So can you please just trust me and that let's have some fun together. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we never have to do it again. So we did Toronto Comic Con back in March of 2017. And even for Kirsty, who played Tessa, after she finished School's Out, she took off to London for university.
Okay.
She didn't even get any news about the show airing or any fan love or any, the producers didn't call her to say, hey, great job, Kirsty. She just basically disappeared off the face of the earth. For 25 years, she didn't even know if anybody liked her performance or what. So I was so happy to be able to give her that opportunity to hear directly from the fans, because at a much larger convention, you can imagine, we have hundreds of people in our Q&As, and they're all like happy to see her, and you know, her character was a victim just like Caitlin was. She wasn't the home wrecker that a lot of people like to joke that Tessa was. She was really a victim just like Joey, or just like Caitlin was, and was duped by Joey in that movie. So I think by her hearing the love from the fans during our Q&As kind of validated everything that she did in her performance as Tessa in School's Out, and I was really happy for her. And basically we just went gangbusters from there, like we did Toronto, Ottawa, Halifax, Vancouver, Saskatoon, Sudbury, like Niagara. We went all over. It was a wonderful experience.
So would you be the leader of the initial Degrassi posse now? Is that the way it goes?
I call myself the Captain Kirk of Degrassi because, and Stefan is my Spock. Because we wouldn't have gotten together if it wasn't for these conventions. We would have just carried on in our lives, our daily grind, our boring lives. Like, just, you know, most of us are just homemakers now, raising our kids. One is a principal at a school.
Oh, okay.
And for them, many of them, this is very exciting. You know, to be back in front of a camera or to be in front of people and talking about the show. And you wouldn't believe how many of my colleagues are Facebooking me going, well, when's my turn? When do I get to have fun? You guys are having so much fun. And so that's why I say, guys, wait, give me a chance to build something here. And when I do, you're all going to benefit and have fun. And that's what my Degrassi Palooza is going to be in June of 2019, is an opportunity for anybody. Today, literally, I was texting Claude. Claude. I haven't talked to the guy in 25 years, and he texted me saying, dude, Dan Woods, who played Mr. Radich, came to Detroit looking for me last week, and I was unfortunately unavailable. I couldn't meet him, but Mr. Radich, Dan Woods, was trying to get him to show up to Windsor Comic Con as a joke and surprise Stacy, aka Caitlin, at our Q&A. He was gonna come up on stage with like a black rose for Caitlin, and everybody was gonna laugh. It would have been funny, but he unfortunately wasn't available. But I said to the actor David, who played Claude, I said, dude, make yourself available for next summer. Come to Palooza. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be 25 of us, and I'm gonna try to get the director, producer, and the head writer from back in the day, and only invite maybe 200 attendees to this experience. Because I was saying to a young lady earlier today that you have your hardcore Degrassi fans, and then you have just, you know, casual, I love the Zit Remedy, you know, that's I like Caitlin kind of fan, but it's the hardcore fans that I'm trying to reach right now, because for many of them, Degrassi literally was their virtual high school. It was their experience that they didn't get to have if they lived in a rural community or they were socially awkward. They didn't have many friends in high school. And believe me, I was just like one of those kids before Degrassi. I didn't have many friends. I was a minor niner, the nerd. Like, people would pick on me. They'd call me ankle biter, all that fun stuff. So I was once there being bullied just like a lot of other folks that watched our show. And so those are the fans I'm trying to invite and gather. Because for them, coming to Centennial College, where we filmed Degrassi High, that's where my convention is going to be, where we filmed the show, coming to that high school is literally going to be a reunion. It's going to be like a class reunion. And that's the experience I'm trying to create for those 200 fans. And God willing, if it goes well. Oh, and also I'm going to donate some scholarships to the school from the money that we make from Degrassi Palooza. So that's really the motivating factor, is to give back to the school. It's given us so much, and hopefully this is a positive experience. It can be an annual event and can expand and grow, because the building is huge. I could easily fit 1,000 people in that building if I wanted to. That's a lot of people. So I'm going to start small, 150, 200 people, and build it up from that. And that's the way you're supposed to build a convention. Just slow, steady, build it up. And I've learned enough over the last few years that you know, I know how to do it. I just need some competent people with me to make it happen. But the fans are there, I believe it. The cast is there. The venue is there. I got to pick a date, and then I got to move forward. So for the next 9 months, this will be my life after this weekend's event. So yeah, it's exciting.
It is. Yeah. How did I remember how my mother felt about me watching the show. How did your family feel about you being in it?
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
My parents would literally take the VHS tapes to my family's house. Like if we were visiting a neighbor or a family member, like an uncle or a cousin, they would literally carry the tapes from the VCR from that week's episode. And like, did you watch my son's episode this week? It was so good. Here, go get the VCR. And they would literally shove the tape so that my family would have to watch me. Because they were very proud, you know, proud Italians. They immigrated to this country with nothing, not a penny.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't know the language. They didn't have much money. They, you know, sacrificed so much. So to watch the fruits of their labor, their sacrifice, do well and become, you know, a known actor from a TV show, they were very, very proud. So I'm an only child, so that makes it that even worse.
I guess so.
Doubly worse. To this day, my mom is like, you know, when I tell her I'm going to Vancouver, call me when you land in Vancouver. I want to know that you're okay, that you're safe, and that you call me when you get home. You know, like I can be 80 years old and she'll still, you know,
Mom's
call
always
me.
your mom.
Mom is always your mom, yeah. But yeah, they were very proud. They were very supportive. Unfortunately, like many parents of the cast, they were immigrants and didn't understand the language in terms of contracts.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Mastrioanni. Can you sign away your son's
Sure.
life for all perpetuity? Is that the word?
Sure.
Perpetuity? That's my wife. And that was difficult for them because they didn't know what they were signing. They just thought, oh, these people are taking care of my children or my kid, and they must have my kid's best interest in mind. Nobody could even imagine that the show would still be on TV after all these years. People still bring me DVD box sets to sign. It's like, wow, like how many of these things got sold? So waited 30 years to hear positive feedback from fans. So
How does it feel?
it feels great. Oh, absolutely, it's wonderful. It's a big love fest, and every experience with every fan is unique and different, and their stories are unique and different to them, which is pretty amazing.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I talk too much?
Not at all.
Okay, you go. Your turn.
Did you know anyone before you started filming as
No.
a friend? You were all just complete strangers?
We were all strangers. I think they reached out to about 500 kids in the Toronto and surrounding area. They put flyers and leaflets up in junior highs and high school all across the city. And many of us just picked up the flyer on a lark and just went, oh, CBC show, no experience necessary. Okay.
You kind of have to.
You know, it's kind of like, whatever, summer job for kids. It literally said, summer job for your kid. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. And nobody knew or could have expected any of that. But none of us had professional agents or were professional actors. I'm sorry, Sela, who played Yik Yu, he was a professional actor, yep.
Okay.
He was the only person that actually had a movie under his belt because he had done Peanut Butter Solution, if anybody has ever heard of that.
No.
The best Canadian film ever made. If you don't know what Peanut Butter Solution is, go find it. It is,
Watched it in grade school.
it is hilarious. It is, Celine Dion did the soundtrack. The guy from Battlestar Galactica, he stars in it. I can't remember his real name at the moment, but he was in the movie. He plays a dad. But it's about a boy who loses his hair, and some old creepy dude gives them a concoction that grows hair back. And so the lead boy, this white guy, puts it on his head to grow his hair back because he lost it. But then Selak's character, Selak's character in the movie wants to know if it'll grow hair down there. Wah, wah. And then all the shenanigans happen. Yeah, it really is a Degrassi episode. So I'm not going to give away anything else. You got to watch the
No
movie.
spoilers.
And man, I literally bust his chops at least once a year about this movie. So yeah, it's a Canadian classic. It's really, really good. Hey, do you mind if we ask anybody on the floor real quick if they have a question? Because I'm always curious if anybody has a question. I know a lot of you already talked to me at the table, but I don't want you to say, oh, they didn't even ask us if we had a question. Are you all okay? Just checking.
Well, you mentioned peanut butter solution.
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as you actually talked about the kid being bald and putting peanut butter on his head,
Yeah.
I thought that was a dream I had.
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
I remember watching it.
Wow.
Check it out. Go find it, man. It's a good movie. It might even be on like YouTube or whatever, like online. But it's a really cute Canadian movie.
Yeah, I until now I didn't even realize it was actually
It is, and you'll have a good chuckle. It's every kid should watch this movie because it's just a very cute, very wholesome movie, and nothing like it else in Canadian film
Yeah, I
ever.
definitely have to rewatch
And
it.
it's got a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I know you spent like minutes researching for this Q&A.
Oh, okay, if anyone else has questions, though.
Is anybody else? Oh, yes, sir.
When was that movie?
The Peanut Butter Solution?
Yes.
The Peanut Butter Solution had to have been 1984 or 1985. So it was very, very long time ago. Because Degrassi started in 1986. And so the movie had already been out, and Sela, the actor, who was still a very young, normal kid, he still had the accent and awkward. We all looked up to him going, dude, you actually did a movie. Like, you are the star. Like, you actually did something. So for many of us, we had never been on a set. We didn't know what a camera looked like, what the language was. Like, hit your mark. Hit my what?
Here's Mark.
Like, well, it's a mark. Like, all these little things we take for granted, we didn't know. And again, we were learning on the job what it meant to be an actor. I think the first 2 seasons of Degrassi Junior High, we were still trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. The crew knew what they were doing.
That's good.
But the kids, I mean, I was just trying not to laugh half the time. Because half the time I was doing a scene with somebody, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm actually acting on a show. This is the coolest thing ever. And I would literally break character, and the director would be like, why are you laughing? This is so cool. I don't even know why I'm laughing. So that was like my first 2 years trying not to laugh. Because if you watch the first couple of seasons,
Yes.
I'm totally cracking
You have
up.
a smirk face.
I'm smirking, and I was supposed to be mad, but I'd be like, what are you doing, man? You just see me smirking a little bit, because like, I can't believe I'm pretending to be angry at you, because we had so many fun times on set, off camera, that they'd be like, okay, now it's time to get into character. What do you mean get into character? We didn't even know how to act. Like, I'm not getting into character, I'm just going to pretend to do what you think I'm supposed to do. And then we're going to goof around after we yell cut. We're going to keep joking and playing around. Yeah, that was just the way it was. And then after season 2 of Degrassi Junior High, I think we started to realize, okay, now we're getting into heavier topics. We actually have to take our craft a little bit more seriously. How can I improve as an actor? Like, all those things that we started to take seriously and not for granted was basically on the table. Like, it's like, look, guys, if you're not in this for the right reasons, get out. Like, we're here to make a show. We want to do it right. We want to do it well. We're going to graduate the show to Degrassi High. We're going to deal with a lot more topics, so you're in it or you're not. And we were all like, no, we're serious now. We're in it. Like, let's do this. But yeah, those first couple of years, it was just like day camp or summer camp for us. It was still fun afterwards, but we did take the craft a little bit more seriously at that point, because we started to get a little bit more confident in our abilities as well.
Well, Michelle and I were just, before you came, Michelle and I were talking about how Degrassi is kind of like Canada's version of 90210.
Sure is.
And because, the teen drama, and it talked about, like spike in pregnancy and all that kind of thing. So, I don't know, like where would you seeing that kind of go? Like if you say you were the one in charge, like if say they asked you to direct an episode, how would you want something to go?
They did ask me if I wanted to direct in the next generation, Degrassi Next Generation, and I was very flattered. At the time, I didn't feel I deserved that opportunity because I'd never even had any interest in being a director. It was Stefan Brogan who played Snake, and even Anais Granovsky who played Lucy on the original series. They were the ones that had actually gone to NYU, had studied directing, had wanted to write and produce. And I'm like, why are you offering me this gift, this opportunity? They're the ones who really corner gas. Hey Tara, what's up?
You have someone here that wants your autograph.
I'm in the middle of a panel right now. You're on speakerphone.
I know you were in a panel.
Come on in.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Send them in, send them in.
Yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, I was just focused on my craft. I really wanted to act. I was getting opportunities to work on other shows and do voice work, and I was really excited at the opportunities that were being presented to me. So at that time, in 2005, I really had nothing left in me for Degrassi. I had been given a gift of the joy to come back and make a little bit of money. I just got married, and I really wanted to put a good down payment on my house, and Degrassi gave me that gift. And I'm like, hey, I have no regrets, no complaints. I just need to move on. And yeah, thank you very much for the chance, but give that to Stefan. Well, didn't they do that? They gave it to Stefan, and the guy directed over 70 episodes. He won a couple of awards, Directors Awards in Canada, and he deserved it because I knew he had the talent. He just has to be given the opportunity, and he owes me everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. He's a wonderful guy, and he's worked hard for it. He's got a gift and a talent, and he deserves all the success. And now he's moving on to other shows because Degrassi's now since finished. I wish I could remember the name of the show that he's working on now, but it's a kids show, and I want to say it's like Molly something. Does anybody know kids show? Molly, Holly something. If you had kids, I think you would know this show. I don't have kids, so I don't know it. But he's still directing children's television, which I think is perfect for him because he can speak to them on their level, and he can say, hey, I was in your shoes. I know what it's like to be where you're at, and I know where your character's headspace should be. Take some advice from me, try it this way. And I think he speaks really, really well to his performers because all the kids love him on Degrassi. They all love working with him, multiple reasons. He's Snake, but he's also a good director. He's an actor's director. You have on set, you either have an actor's director or you have a technical director where they know all the technical stuff. They don't know how to speak to their actors. It's just like, do what you do. Let me worry about the lighting, let me worry about the camera, where it's moving, and you just do your thing. But then you have other directors that are hands-on and actually want to be involved in your character and how you're performing it. Because we all have our own interpretation of how we read a script. So my reading of the same scene can be completely different than how you would read a scene. So it's nice to always have a different point of view and a different perspective when developing a scene. Right? Because even the people within the scene are interpreting the scene differently from their perspective and from their life experience. So we all share when we're in rehearsals and script readings and whatnot. So it's a very good environment to share in, and I like that aspect of doing a TV show.
Speaking of scenes, sorry.
No, I was going to quickly ask, like, how old were you guys when you were on the show? Were you literally like teenagers?
Literally 15 to 19 or 15 to 20, something like that. Because we did Degrassi Schools Out, then we did Degrassi Talks. So we did that documentary series in '92.
That street got a lot of attention.
Yeah, that street got a lot of attention. It's definitely the most stolen sign in Toronto. Still to this day, people will go and steal the Degrassi sign. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, it's definitely a tribute, a testament to the show's integrity and the fact that it's 700 episodes in, over 3 decades, and it's something that I think as Canadians we can be incredibly proud of. I think it might be one of the longest running series on television. I think EastEnders or what's that other English show? Coronation Street might be longer in terms of years it's been on television, but we get out there, we're close. Yeah.
It's the longest soap opera, period.
Period?
Coronation is the longest. It's older than Young and the Restless.
Wow.
They've been on since '73, I think. So
Crazy.
Coronation Street, I think, started in the '60s.
Crazy. I think it started as a radio show before it was on television.
Wow.
Yeah. So it went from radio and then it went on to TV.
Before that, people used to just gather in a room.
Yeah.
Do the show.
It was just smoke signals in the morning,
How did you do the fire of
Oh,
Degrassi Junior High?
When it burned down?
Yeah.
Oh, that was big budget. Big budget special effects back in the
You guys
day.
remember that, the last episode of Junior High?
They had flames coming out of the school windows, and we thought that was the coolest shit we'd ever seen in our lives, man. Our minds were blown because we had a budget of approximately $200,000 to $225,000 per episode. That's nothing. Even in the '80s standards, that was maybe a quarter of the budget of a regular show. We were filmed on 16 millimeter film. Cameras used 35 millimeter. Real films used 35 millimeter film. We had 16 mil, which is what home movies would be on those old-timey cameras that they used to have. So to have something as sophisticated as special effects teams on our set and setting up these gas lines, these gas pipes that would shoot out flames, and then they actually laid in fire on these windows that were blacked out when we were filming. They were just completely black. And then they actually put in the glass breaking and the flame shooting. We were just like, this is awesome. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that was probably the most special effects we would have had on that show until Wheels' car accident in Schools Out, where they destroyed the car. We had a crane. It was a single shot camera move. So we had a Steadicam, which we never had on Degrassi. The Steadicam was another cool thing. The Steadicam operator got on a crane, and the crane actually lifted the Steadicam operator up into the sky, and that's how the scene ended in Schools Out. And so that was another really amazing moment in terms of visual effects for the show, because we were all about the story. The show was character-driven. It wasn't meant to be glitzy, fancy, high fashion, beautiful people. It was just supposed to be kind of looking through a student's eyes walking down the hall, what a normal student would see in an everyday high school. So.
And the sets are real too, it was a real school.
Yeah, we never used fake sets or anything like that. Once in a blue moon, we would make one of the offices, or one of the classrooms, or a corner office or something. We'd turn that into somebody's a character's bedroom.
Okay.
So they would just dress it up to make it look like a bedroom, because we were using the corner, and any corner of a room could literally be a bedroom if you just put the right, bed and a couple of pictures or whatever. So. But for the most part, we would shoot on location or whatever. Yeah, it was always real sets.
I remember the episode of you trying to get some condoms.
Condoms, that was in
a real pharmacy.
That was a real pharmacy right across the street from where our head office was. Yeah, our production office was right there on Queen Street, Queen and Pape. And right across the street from Queen and Pape was the Shoppers Drug Mart. And we shot Schools Out in that same Shoppers Drug Mart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did a lot of filming in that Shoppers. They knew us well. Back there in the day. Yeah. And I was just talking to Craig Driscoll. He played Rick back in the day. His dad beat the crap out of him when he sold me his jean jacket, where he took the last 2 Cokes out of the fridge. And he's a tattoo artist now in San Diego. And he's like, dude, I totally want to come to your Palooza. I will be there. I'm like, dude, you're going to have to tattoo fans. You're going to be asked by fans to tattoo the Degrassi Street sign on them or something silly. Because I'll do whatever, man. You pay me, I'll show up. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure you're there. Because I think the interesting thing about Palooza is going to be that we've all grown up since the 80s. Our fans have grown up. They've become their own unique individuals and their own life experiences. Well, so have the actors. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised what happened to so-and-so, what happened to so-and-so. That's what I want some of those panels, these conversations that we're doing, to be about. I don't want it to be about, oh, love me because I played Joey on Degrassi. I want it to be, oh, well, this is what I do now. And these are, Kathy Keenan, who played Liz on Degrassi, she's actually a yoga instructor. She's a yoga instructor, but she's also a vegan, and she also does some things about mental stability, and so she's got this whole unique thing, a story to tell, and an experience to share with people. Arlene Lott, who played Nancy, she is a phenomenal chef, like a bakery pastry chef. Yeah, she does these incredible things on Instagram that every time I see it, I'm like, damn you, I want that. She made a pie out of Drake's head. She has a pie that was shaped in Drake's head. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you even do that? So she's like and then the twins are flamenco dance instructors.
Really?
It's just crazy stuff. Stephanie Kay is a jazz artist and a painter, I think. I want them to talk about themselves and what they're passionate about, right? And share that with the fans. So, and vice versa. I want the fans to interact as well. So, it all goes back to Palooza, I'm telling you.
That's next year.
Next year, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be pretty sweet, eh?
Yeah, I hope so.
Stephanie was more of a junior in the graphic design. She's the one that changed her outfit, right, to go to walk to school in her sweater.
She was more grown up, right?
Yeah.
She was sophisticated. She was putting on airs as being a very sophisticated.
Face.
Yeah, she met up with that soap opera actor in the hotel. You know, she thought she was. Yeah. So she's a lovely lady. I think she was a little bit nervous seeing us all back in June in Toronto. I had a big reunion in Toronto, which motivated me to do the Palooza. But I actually was able to get 15 cast members to come to the Royal Cinema in Toronto on College Street for a screening of 6 episodes of Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High. And I made sure that every actor was kind of represented in their own episode. And Nicole Stoffman and Vula, or Stephanie Kay and Vula, they both came, and I hadn't seen them since 1988. And they both came, and I think they were a little bit nervous, but they, in 2 seconds, were embraced, and, you know, literally just love flowed from everybody. Just like, oh my God, how have you been? So it made me realize that, yeah, I can actually get a group together, and that they're all at that stage in their life where nostalgia means a lot. And when I saw those 15 cast members on stage, and we were all laughing, telling stories, and getting along, I thought, this needs to be bigger. I need this to do this better and bigger and with more people. And so that's when I realized, okay, if I can do 15 people in a movie theater for 3 hours, I can do 25, 30 over the course of 2 days at the actual venue where we filmed Degrassi. So it's cray-cray. It's fun.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh boy, anything with me in it. It's a good episode.
You were pretty funny.
No, I was mortified to walk through the caf naked. I remember going to my mom and my dad saying, producers told me today I have to be naked and walk naked in the school. And my mom and dad were like, good, that's gonna be funny. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I know, right? I'm 18, and they're like, good, it's gonna be funny. I'm like, but I don't want to do it. And they're like, no, you have to do it. It's gonna be very good, very funny. And so, you know, with the lack of support from my parents, I obviously begrudgingly, you know, agreed to do it. But I was aware, even at the time, that it was going to be an incredibly memorable moment for the show and for the storyline. And as an actor, as a performer at age 18, I said to myself, okay, there's going to be times in your life as an actor that you're asked to do something uncomfortable or something that you don't relate to or understand or you're kind of against. Like, for example, I might be asked to do a rape scene down the road. And if, you know, obviously I have to separate who I am and who my character is. And I said, if I'm going to take this craft seriously and want to make this a career, I can't let my insecurities and my fears stand in the way of a performance. So I said, if I can get through this, literally naked in front of 100 people, then there's really, what else is there left to hide? Nothing. So I took that as a challenge, as an actor, to do something that I didn't feel comfortable doing because I wanted to go to the next level. I wanted to go to the next step. And so many of my other actor friends on Degrassi had already shown me that they had the chops to do that kind of storytelling and to play those type of characters. I wanted to show that I had the chops too. So yeah, I did it. You know, it was awkward, it was embarrassing, but at the end of the day, it made for a very memorable moment that people still talk about to this day. Yeah. So yeah. I would say that would be very empowering moment for me on the show, for sure.
Dropping that hat.
Yeah, I should have. That would have been even better. Woohoo!
So, just speaking of like those awkward and like uncomfortable moments.
Yep.
You had mentioned like going from junior high to high, like from season 2 and up, where you're starting to do like the more adult kind of topics. Mm-hmm. Did you find that like there was a lot of like quick growing up that you ended up doing when you were covering it?
You know, we got exposed to a lot of storylines and a lot of topics that maybe I may have not have experienced at that time in my childhood, in my teenage years. Certainly AIDS and HIV was something completely foreign to me. I had no idea that this even existed. I might have heard a little bit about it on the news, but I was as ignorant as anybody else. I probably at the time thought you could get it from a toilet seat or from shaking somebody's hand. Like I thought maybe it was that spreadable, I guess, or that. And then they actually had 2 gentlemen come into our workshop classes and teach us. Like, they had HIV, and they explained to us, it's not this disease that you think it is, and we're going to talk to you about it today so that you can be better informed. And we took that very, very seriously because, again, the producers were like, we're not fucking around. Like, this is what these are the stories we want to tell. You're either with us or you're not. So, yeah, of course we were with them, and we wanted to respect those 2 gentlemen, respect the story that we had to tell. We did the exact same thing with the Claude episode, you know, with the suicide. We knew that we were risking copycats out there. We knew that there were people that, in theory, could look at this as being glorified. And so we intentionally wrote the Claude character in a way that people didn't like him. Not to make it any less serious, or that his loss was any less, but we didn't want people to look at the character and go, but look at everybody feeling sad for him and going to his memorial. And you never saw his memorial on the show. You never saw anybody mourn him in a, like there was only one girl, one character that really mourned him. Everybody else was like, fuck that guy. You know, he wanted us to be crying for him and feeling sorry for him. Fuck him, I'm pissed. So that's the message we tried to get to anybody that could possibly be watching that episode and be kind of swayed by that episode. So that script went into so many rewrites. We had so many professionals in the industry read it over. You know, are we telling the story the right way? Are we giving it justice? I mean, are we risking things? That was their major concern, that they didn't want that. And from to the best of our research and our knowledge and our ability, we didn't have any copycats. We didn't have anything like that. But we still think it was a very powerful episode for fans to watch because they weren't expecting it.
Did you ever have your fans come up to you and say like this really resonated with you?
Oh yeah, every day. I mean, if it wasn't, you know, a young girl coming up to Spike saying, you know, my boyfriend says he loves me, should I sleep with him? Like that kind of shit going on. It was guys coming up to me going, I just got diagnosed with HIV and your show made me feel like I'm not alone. Like all that stuff. Like every freaking episode, I would have had somebody at some point come up to me and tell me how that show related to them personally. Indirectly, directly, whatever, my brother, you know, my mom, whatever. My dad's got a drinking problem. I know what it's like to have a dad that, you know. So it was all these things, and yeah, we weren't emotionally prepared. So they always said to us, look, you're not therapists. Don't be out there thinking that you can actually help people on a personal level. You are just an actor. You don't have the skills. You don't have the know-how. You basically have what we gave you in a 30-minute script. So don't think you can go out there and save the world by yourself. You recommend those people to either speak to an adult, a guidance counselor, here's the Kids Help Hotline. You push those. You know, never ever get involved in people's personal lives because you just don't have the skill set. You know, we're 18 or 17, you think you know it all, right? So we knew better. We knew better to try to direct people in a way that we weren't educated or informed to do so, because there's always better people out there that could do the job. So yeah, it was kind of trippy at times to think that people were looking to us specifically for advice when we were just actors playing a role on the show. Good thing is we had a lot of comedy stuff too. Like my character never really got overly serious on the show, so people would just go, you're the goofy guy. Like, yeah, I'm the goofy guy. So thank God I didn't have too many heavy things happen to my character. So, these folks must all be here for somebody else, so maybe we should start wrapping things up and get some real talent in here.
Are there any other questions for Pat?
Actually, one more.
Go ahead, sir.
Not even related to the rest. You say that like you collect comics and do you collect like independent comics as well? Or?
You know what? The closest thing to independent would be Canadian Whites, and that's from the 40s. They're not independents. Back in the 40s, there was an embargo on using paper during World War II, and American comic publishers weren't allowed to produce comic books because paper was needed for the war. Well, Canada didn't have that embargo, so we started producing and creating our own comic books in Canada and our own titles. And believe it or not, Nelvana, the character, predates Wonder Woman by 3 months. So it's the first female superhero character in a comic book, and it's Canada that did it first. So there's a world of Canadian comics that people don't know about and collectors don't know about, and I always like to inform people, but I don't want to tell too many people because then they're going to look for them, and I'm actually still out there hunting them down myself. But they're called Canadian Whites because only the cover and the back were in color. The inside was all black and white. And if you can find those suckers from the 40s, they're rare. I found one in my lifetime, and it was in Calgary on Kijiji. And the guy mailed it to me for 20 bucks. I'm like, yeah! It's a lot of fun. But it's a wonderful little secret of, and there are guys here that are selling the books about Canadian Whites, and there's a great history there that I think we should celebrate and know about. So that would be the closest thing to independence that because I'm a Marvel dude. I got Spider-Man on my arm and all that good stuff. But yeah, and then go Google Canadian Whites comics. It's an interesting world of books out there.
Thanks so much for
Hey,
coming.
thank you guys.
Mastrioanni.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you all. I will talk to you guys soon.